Here's three things that we learned from Man U versus Sheffield United. Now, the first is that we still do not have the ability to break down low blocks. Now, oftentimes in this game, we'd see ourselves in a position similar to this, with the ball on one side of the pitch. And what we'd see quite often is that the ball would keep getting recycled from defender to midfield, from one side of the pitch to the other, and back round again. Because we don't really have the ability and the players to break down a low block here. I don't think there's enough movement from players in this section of the pitch to get into pockets of space quickly such that that space opens up for other players. And once you run into pockets of space, you can now move the ball quickly between one another to scramble the defensive line until you have a clear chance through on goal. Now we saw some good work from Dallo and Garnacho in particular in getting down towards the byline, but their crosses were often blocked and defended easily. I would have liked to see more from Anthony in terms of testing his fullback. I know that he has that ability within him. I've seen it in the very first few games at Man United and when he's played for Ajax, obviously. I think right now he's a bit low on confidence and just needs to trust himself and just be aggressive on the ball. Now, the second thing that we learned is the way that we create most of our chances is by balls over the top or in behind the defence. We saw that with Eriksen playing passes into Højlund, or Bruno making a run in behind, Anthony making a run in behind, even Dallo playing as that inverted role, making loads of runs in behind the defence. There was one time when he was even one on one and should have taken a shot earlier rather than waiting too long. Now, I'm not a big fan of Dallo at left back. I think he can be exploited defensively at times when he plays at left back, and that's understandable because he's used to playing on the right hand side. I think today he did really well, especially in terms of the attack. He played a good pass in behind for Bruno Fernandes, who then set up Højlund on his goal, and obviously got that one-on-one chance himself where he was in on goal. Now, I think that the final thing we need to discuss is our mentality. There have been too many games this season where we have gone behind in a game, but we have to give the players credit because they have somehow, in a lot of games, managed to find their way back. And we couldn't have said these things a couple seasons ago, where every time we went behind, the whole team just crumbled. It's nice to see that we do have much more of a fighting spirit within the team to when we go behind in games, and we no longer have to fear as much when we concede a goal, because now there is more trust in the players to get back in the game. Now, we can't get carried away with this game because, again, it was obviously Sheffield United, no disrespect intended. But this was the first game in a long time where we've seen control in the game. In a lot of our other games, the opposition tends to control the game more than we do. Recently, we've been more on the back foot in games and just got away with lucky breakaway goals, where we have been clinical and the opposition haven't. And I think that an explanation for a lot of this is because we have been so injury hit this season, with so many players out injured for long periods of the season. But the players yesterday showed a lot of spirit in not only getting back into the game once, but twice, and having the belief to go on and win that game. Let's jump into the player ratings. Andrew Onana, got to give him a 5 for that pass. Disrupted our flow in the game. Wan-Bissaka at 5.5. Could have maybe done better on that second goal and didn't really help us in the attack. Casemiro a 7. Bearing in mind he's playing out of position, I think he made a lot of good tackles for a centre back. Maguire a 7. Took his goal really well. Dallo a 7. Made a lot of good runs and got into very good positions. Mainu probably a 6. Maybe not his best game, but still did alright. Remember that he is still a young kid. Eriksen probably a 5.5. Control the game very well, but yes, there are still some defensive insecurities. Fernandes an 8, 2 goals and an assist, including an absolute banger. Anthony a 5.5. I think he could have got the assist for Garnacho. Garnacho should have scored, but otherwise his passing was a bit reserved. Garnacho a 7, got his assist, and also was very exciting down the wing. Højlund probably a 6.5, took his goal really well. I'd probably give all the subs a 6. None of them really impacted the game too much, and the last two didn't really have enough time to. I think that our biggest problem over the last few years has been not creating enough chances for the striker and being able to break down lower blocks. One of the reasons I was so interested in getting Ten Hag as a manager was the fact that he could maybe have some tactical insight into breaking down lower blocks. Even with him as our manager, balls over the top are still the best way for us to create chances. But I have to say I'm proud of the team for their mentality to come back again from yet another losing position. But hopefully we can stop going behind in games by controlling the game well, and when we do control the game well, make sure that we take our chances.